we are officially back from West Coast school and starting up our parties again. Today's the 21st of June, first day of summer. Yeah, gonna hit the mid 80s here, so it should be a good day for us.
104.
What's that?
104 here.
And Mel's gonna be in the high 90s. Yeah, I guess I went to the right place to stay away. So we're going to talk about horizon lines and how to fix horizon lines. Panoramas, sometimes you get a little bit of a bow, and I'll show a technique for getting rid of the bow. Hopefully we'll see if it works, or even if it gets the bow this time. We'll see what happens. So let me share my screen. We're going to go to let's go to desktop so everybody can be up there, and hide that, make that small. The first one's really simple. Can you see my screen right now?
Yep.
See
Yeah.
a couple of
Yep.
hippopotami. It's a raw file, and you can see my horizon line is slightly off. I was more worried about catching the fight than anything else. So in Camera Raw, there is basic optics, color mixer, geometry, curve, all these things. You can move these around. Like if we edit the panels, I'm on geometry right now. So I just move it up and down with my up and down arrow. So if you want to change it back to default order, you hit default order and it changes it back. So it looks like yours, but the top 4 or 5 are the ones that I use all the time: profile, basic, optics, color mixer, and geometry. Those are my biggies that I go to in Camera Raw, which would be the same in Lightroom. So I'm going to click.
Michael, what did you press to get the panel?
I can't tell you that. I already did it. You're going to have to watch the
I
rerun.
know, I took my eyes off for 1 second.
I did a right click
Oh, okay.
and edit
Thank you.
panels to show.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yep. And speaking of watching the reruns, if you watch the reruns, make sure you click the like button. And also, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe as well. I need 1,000 subscribers to make any money out of YouTube. And right now I'm at 85. So we're doing really good. Like I'm doing this for money. Okay, I go to geometry. If I hit the A, which is automatic, it will automatically say, okay, I'm going to check the lines. Say, oh, hey, look, that line's now perfect. You can also manually do it by clicking on any of these. Like this one's draw 2 or more guides to customize perspective. So I'll draw one line there. I'll do another one underneath it to make my line perfect. And to reset it, all you have to do is hit the Option or Alt key and click on Cancel. So Option or Alt, click on Cancel, and it resets. So I'm just going to click on the A because that works really perfect for this particular image. Speaking of auto, a lot of times in a raw image, I'll click on auto to start with, and it will look at the settings, look at the colors, and say, okay, this is where I think it should go. And then from there, I will tweak it a little bit, add different things to it, and make it happen. So auto is a good place to start if you don't want to go line by line fixing them. So that's the easy fix. Cancel, yes. We will go to, this one's not too bad. This is a panel that I did using Photoshop, or using Camera Raw actually. And I'm going to do the same thing again. So these 4 images, I did a 4 panel stitch, and you could see just looking at this that it bows dramatically. The middle one is the one that I had level. I set my level on my camera and on my tripod to make sure that at least one shot was level. And then as you go further right, it says, nope, I don't want to be level. Further left, I'm going to bow a little bit there. So what I'm going to do is go to Tools, Photoshop, photo merge, and we're going to take our time because this is a slow process, and click OK. And then it's going to run through the process and do it. And our whole class went down and photographed the San Diego skyline as our Thursday night outing. And I've seen a couple posted on Facebook recently from the outing, and they were spectacular what they got. So I'm jealous. I only shot a few, making sure everybody got a chance to get the good stuff. But it was a total blast. Dinner was good. Class was good. So if you haven't signed up for West Coast School yet, make sure you sign up now. That's westcoastschool.com. And I'll keep going through this commercial while we're waiting for this to speed up. Okay, this is going quickly. There's another way to do this. It's a little bit faster through camera on. I'll do that one after this just to show you the difference. And output. And you can see that it didn't bow like I thought it was going to. The first time I ran this particular set of images, it made a big bow in the middle, and now it's not going to do that. And I'll show you a trick in Camera Raw to fix that as well. And we're waiting, and we're still waiting. So that's how the image came out. And as you can see that it's got a slight tilt to the right. So that's easily fixed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Command or Control E, which will flatten down the images that are selected, or the layers that are selected, and put it all onto one layer. And then I'm going to hit the crop tool, and I hit clear to get rid of any crop that was already in there. And you can see how far off that horizon line is. So what I will do is go up to the toolbar at the top right next to clear is straighten. So I click on straighten, drag it to the right or drag it to the left, and we're off by 2.1 degrees, which is a pretty gnarly number. I'm going to do it one more time just to make sure. And then hit the crop. Life is good. And you can see once I cropped it, I left a little bit of corner up in the upper right that wasn't fixed. So what I'll do is just hit the lasso tool, lasso that, and I use content aware fill, and I have an action for that. So we just hit F3, which is my action, and it will fill it in, and everything's perfect. And there is no bow there. If there was a bow, what I would do is I would make another layer, Command J to make a second layer, and then go to my free transform, which is Command T or Control T, right click, do a warp. And what you can do is you can bring the bottom up or down to fix wherever your warp is, or if you got it in the middle. Sometimes it'll come out like that, and you just kind of bring it down in the middle and let it go flat. And if you're really curious, you can drag a guide down and see how it's working. And it looks pretty good there. So I commit it. hitting the transform, and keep waiting and waiting and waiting. There we go. And I don't know if anybody's noticed, but with the new version of Photoshop, when you bring your guide down, it's a dark blue. If you bring a second guide down or click on the ruler, it commits it to the cyan color that it used to be. So really weird that it does that. So let's go ahead and close that out. Don't save it. I'll do one more. Go back to bridge. We got these 4 selected. So what I'm going to do is open them up in Camera Raw. I just hit the enter key to open them up. Command or Control A, or you can click on the 3 dots up here, select all. And let's do an auto color, which came out really bright. So I'm going to bring the color down to a blue just for fun. And highlights, I'm going to bring down a little bit further because I don't like it too bright. Shadows, kind of tweak a little bit. And with that, I'm going to say a little saturation just to tweak it. And now they're all selected. They've all changed. So what I will do is click on the 3 dots up here and go down to merge to panorama, or you can hit Command or Control M, and we're merging. This way it's just slightly faster, or at least it was when I ran through the practice sessions. You see it going across fairly quick. And what this does, it saves it as a DNG file. So I have to save it, and we'll call this DNG pano.dng. Click done. And it's merging everything right now. And it's merging everything right now.
Oh, can I ask a question while you're
Yes.
merging?
Yes, you may.
It's related, but a little bit off the topic, but you can
Okay.
tell me if I'm way out there. Sometimes in landscape, which I'm not that good at, my horizon line might be okay, but like maybe like the horizon will be closer to me on one side and farther away on another side. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is there a fix for that?
Yeah, in Camera Raw. Let me open this up really quick. Now that I got it open. In Camera Raw, if you go to geometry,
Yeah.
and you go down to, I want to say it's horizontal. You can
Yeah,
tweak
okay. I think it's the same in Lightroom then.
It's the same in Lightroom.
Yeah.
You can do
Okay.
also with the vertical as well.
Okay.
You can rotate to
Okay,
get your
thanks.
axis perfect. Then aspect, you can stretch it or whatever you want to do with it. And if you don't like what you did, just hit double click on the little arrows right there, and then it'll take it to 0.
Okay, thanks.
So we'll hit open. I say open, 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 open. And again, when you're in Camera Raw, you can bring it back to the original orange tint. Just hit as shot or whatever, and take it back if you don't like the blue color. And this is opening very slow because of zoom, I'm sure. So I'll hit C for crop, then I'll crop my picture pretty much the same way. Zoom in on the right top corner again. And you can see we got a little bit of a leftover there. So we'll just take it out with content aware fill. And one of the things I notice when I'm shooting the skyline is the colors on the water. After a boat goes by or a ship goes by, the water gets all churned up. There's no color. So if you're patient and you wait for the spacing in between when the water smooths out, you get a lot more color on the water there. So just a little trick. And you can see that horizon is fairly close just based on what camera raw did. It did it all by itself. So I'm going to show one more thing before we do this. So Command W, don't save. Back to bridge. Select all 4 images and they're backwards, so I'll start over again just to make it easy. You can see the bow that's going on there. So I'm going to open them up in RAW. Select all by hitting Command or Control A, or hit the 3 dots in the photo at the bottom and select all. And this is where I go on the A to do an automatic fix so that every image is now straight across. So hopefully when I do the pano, in fact, I'll just say done. Go back to bridge. And you can see it changed that one on the far right the most. So we'll just hit Tools, Photoshop, Photo Merge. And we'll do an auto. So we're going to have a few moments to talk again. So Suzanne, your question was answered there?
Yeah, but when you hit the A, will that automatically do the horizontal problem as well, or no?
It should. Not guaranteed, but it'll get you really close.
And then what about if you want to see if your buildings are like 90 degrees to your horizon?
What I would do is once this comes up in the pano, what I'll do is drop a line down or bring a line
grid,
from the
grid
left,
line
the
or
grid.
whatever.
Yeah. Give it a second. You can almost see looking at it that it's fairly close. I like playing with the colors on these to see what you get.
Was it a fairly calm night?
It was overcast, so it wasn't too bad. The wind was down. We did have a lot of little boats, the little Navy boats going through, and a couple of passenger ships, the little ferries running through the harbor for the night tours. Just had to be patient. And then the people behind us were smoking some of that California tobacco, very odoriferous.
I think that explains the horizon issue you're having, Michael.
I offered to take you out for snacks on the way home, Mike. You passed.
Yeah, we stopped at the 7-Eleven, got a bunch of Fritos and Doritos, and
Oh, that makes sense. Got to take care of them munchies.
there you go.
Was that incidental inhalation?
Secondhand smoke. And we're in. Okay, I don't know if you can see it on your screens through the monitor, but you can see a crack in the lines right here and here and a crack right here.
Yeah, we see it.
Yeah, you can see it.
Okay, if I zoom in one step, Command plus, it disappears. So don't panic when you see that in your panos. Or if, go back a step, they're there now. If I hit Command or Control E to flatten the image down, it gets rid of them as well. So you can't miss them. So let's do a quick crop on this. And then bring my line over and zoom in. Yeah, you can see that the buildings are fairly straight. You can move your grids as well if you hit the move tool and just drag it over.
Ooh, that's a good tip. I didn't know that.
Yeah, just hit V for move tool and drag it over. If you want to get rid of it altogether, you can drag it back over, or you can go up to view and then hide. Oh, they've changed things a little bit. Okay, let me bring out a guide real quick. Guide. And then go to view. Guides used to be just a clear guides or hide guides. And now it's just clear guide. They've rearranged their menu just a little bit there. So you could get rid of the guides that way. There's like 3 different ways to get rid of the guides. If your building is not perfect, like especially on the edges, they're actually pretty good here. I'm very shocked because normally it's not. But if they're not, what you can do is go to your crop tool, and not just the crop tool, but the perspective crop tool. Drag corner to corner, and then you can tweak.
Oh,
Let's go ahead and just to mess it up a little bit, let's go ahead and drag it out. And then you can click on the checkbox up there or click enter on your keyboard and everything just went away. I see why. It's here, but it's only 1 pixel. The reason being, if you look at my width on the crop tool, it's set to 1 pixel. I was wondering why it disappeared. So get rid of that. Command 0. If things go wrong, always look at your toolbar at the top. Not that mine ever screws up, or I screw up, I don't know which. Let's tweak that side. We'll make it really bad. That should tilt everything.
Is that the same as the warp tool?
In a way, yes. The warp tool, you can change a whole lot of different things. Where here you're just doing, see how it tilts everything to the left on the left-hand side now?
Yes.
That's what that one did there. So we'll go back. So if I tried to warp this, it won't allow me to warp, like to bring the horizon line up and down. So let's escape out of that. And we'll go to make another layer, Command T, and then we'll right click and go to the warp tool. This way you can tweak the bottom up a little bit and cause it to warp. And I can set the grid. There we go. Now you can see the grid with the different default. These are 4x4 grids, but you can do all kinds of weird stuff to it. Make that building a whole lot taller. Hit OK.
So you would put the grid tool on before you use the warp to get it so that it's only warping a certain small portion of it? Is that it?
Yeah, well, what I would do for the warp is if there's a bow in the horizon line here,
Right.
I would use that to bring it down and straighten it out. Whereas
If you want to just move one building, say, then you would.
if you're using just one building, I would do the warp tool. But if I was doing all the buildings on the sides that just didn't look right, they were like leaning in, then you would use the perspective crop tool. You could probably do it on one building as well. Although, no, you can't, because it would crop the whole image that way. Or it'd be just the building. Yeah, it just does the one building.
Well, would you just review, how did you do it before where you had all that grid up there and then you could go to one section of the picture and warp that one section? Wasn't that?
That was under transform. So let me add
Okay.
on. Okay, that's not locked. We should be able to transform. Command T, and then I right click, go to warp,
Okay,
and I can, right now it's default grid at the upper left-hand corner. I'm
yes.
gonna make it say 5 by 5. So we got a whole bunch of grid there to work with. So if I want to make just this one building taller,
Thank you.
does that answer the question?
Absolutely. Great.
Technical, yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, Michael, one of the challenges that I have occasionally is how do I get a good quote, even thing when you're working with, say, a lake where the shore is really not a good reference point.
That could be a challenge. Because judges will look at it and say there's something wrong with it. Even when there's not, even when everything's perfect. Like on your tripod, you got the bubble for leveling. And then on your camera, you have the level. Most cameras have level nowadays. So you can do the level. If it's slightly rounded, let's take this image real quick. We'll do Command J to make it on its own layer. And then do the
That's San
crop.
Francisco, Michael.
That is the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Thanks.
And if you look over here on the right, it's not matching up with what's on the left. But I think this image is level for the most part. It's hard to tell because the horizon line changes based on the topography, the layout of the water there.
But the sides of the buildings are straight. So wouldn't that tell the judge that it truly is straight?
You would think.
Yes,
Yeah,
I would believe so. The horizon, that can be a cove or a bay that would cause that horizon to look different, but a good judge will see the plumbness or the vertical lines are accurate. So I believe, to me, it looks plumb.
it is that is a cove that juts in on the right-hand side. That's why it's not level. It's going inward.
It is a challenge to make it look good.
But the
Here's,
pillars are all straight and everything, so that it's wonderful.
The thing that confuses that just a little bit, I think, is the top of the main dome there does not appear to be level. So I have a feeling there's maybe a little bit of keystone or perspective going on with that image, because a lot of the verticals are vertical, but the top of the dome, I think if you put the level tool across that, you'll see that that's slightly tilted.
if you look at the original image in camera raw, you can see that the pillars on the left are leaning inward. The dome is leaning to the left. And then the pillars on the right, a whole lot of problem with it. So it had to be corrected either using, like here, I did along the left pillar, and then I'll do it along the pillar of the, and even still it's not straight. So we'll do kind of straighten that a little bit across the building. And you can sit here all day and play with it and figure out, okay, how am I going to make it better? And just keep going and drive yourself crazy.
Will calibration help you with regard to the lens? The lens?
Let's go ahead and try it. So we'll go to optical or optics, and it's already use profile calibrations. And basically it just kind of pushed the center back a little bit. That was shot with the 14mm. So distortion. Yeah, it's not really helping a whole lot at all.
Hmm.
Of course, this was shot many, many years ago, 2014. So if I went back and shot it again today, hopefully I'd do a better job. So. Any other questions?
Another simple alternative to straightening a horizon. The one I most often use is under the crop tool in Lightroom or ACR. You have the level tool. And since I'm usually cropping images where I don't have a straight horizon to begin with, or doing a slight crop, if you go up to the crop tool, you will find the level tool, or the angle tool, excuse me, the angle.
Yeah.
Now, if you hit that little icon to the right, then that'll let you stretch your line vertical or horizontal to straighten as you like. Very, very quick and easy to straighten a horizon.
Okay. I normally don't crop in Camera Raw or Lightroom only because I want the full control in Photoshop once I get it all worked out. And a lot of people do everything in Lightroom, and I'm kind of just the opposite. I do just about everything in Photoshop.
I do a lot of it in Photoshop, but when it's just a minor straightening of a horizon, that's just so quick and easy.
That's a great way to do it. Well, thank you, Hutch.
10 things to do everything in Photoshop.
As a minimum. Okay, any other questions? Going once, going twice. Okay, I'm going to hit the stop recording button.